After months of speculation, South Korean and American trade officials sat down to discuss the bilateral FTA on the request of the Trump administration. Seoul made it clear there will be no amendments unless an objective assessment is made beforehand. Soo-young has more from that meeting.
It takes two to renegotiate. That is Korea's position on revising or modifying its free trade agreement with the U.S. After holding a joint committee session in Seoul between trade officials from both sides, Korean Trade Minister Kim Hyun-chong said he had firmly told his U.S. counterpart that the bilateral treaty cannot be modified or revised, as Washington has insisted, without a proper assessment of the treaty's impact on both countries.
We have not reached any agreement. Seoul has certainly not agreed to Washington's unilateral call to revise or modify the deal. We have stressed that there first needs to be an objective review, which is conducted by both sides.
The joint session had been requested by the U.S. Trade Office last month to consider possible amendments regarding market access in South Korea for U.S. businesses, but most importantly, to address what Washington insists is an unfair trade imbalance between the two countries.
We have explained that the FTA is not to blame for its trade deficit, which doubled after the treaty's enactment. It's likely due to various micro and macroeconomic factors in the American economy. In fact, Korea's goods surplus with the U.S. has narrowed about 30% in the last 6 months.
To protect American manufacturing and jobs, the Trump administration keeps pointing out Korea's trade surplus in goods, which comes to about $24 billion US. But given America's service-oriented economy, its surplus in service goods hit around $11 billion last year. So Korea's total surplus isn't that sizable.
In fact, the U.S. Trade Representative Office said in a report last year that America's shipments of manufactured goods to Korea had actually grown by 8.4% by 2015, after the FTA took effect. That's double the average pace of growth the U.S. saw in its exports to other countries over the same period. In terms of jobs, the U.S. benefited from the creation of 2.6 million jobs in the private sector by 2015, roughly 4 years into the agreement. Trade Minister Kim said arrangements for follow-up talks had not been set, and that Korea will wait for Washington's response to its proposed analysis on the impact of the treaty, while preparing for all possible scenarios. Soo-young, Arirang News.